Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Is there a protocol for hospitality? What is the protocol for a guest as well as the host? Is there a protocol for having overnight guests?
Yeah, there are a lot of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There's a lot of protocol for that. And this question is very big, it is very wide. Protocol for hospitality for who? Individuals, families, communities, nations. Huh? Muslim, non-Muslim. Murid or non-murid. Keep it there. Which one? So, we have to bring it down a little bit to streamline it a little bit for us to understand what is there for us so that we can take something useful from that, because the question can be very big. The guest in Islam, it is a very important. The guest in Islam, it is very important. The guest in Islam, when a guest comes to your house, he takes away so many burdens and sins from you. And he brings so many rahmat to you. How many riwayats, how many stories we've heard where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who was asked by believers to say, we want to serve you, we want to host you, we want you to be our guest. They were waiting, isn't it? Who asked for this? Ben Israel. He's saying, Ya Musa, we want Allah to come. Musa alayhi salam then went up to the mountain of Tur and said, Ya Rabbi, astaghfirullah, but my nation, they're asking that they want to serve you. They're inviting you to be their guest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, that's okay, Ya Musa. Tell them I'm going to come. So he went down, he delivered the message, and everyone started working really hard, doing everything, preparing everything for Allah to come. Preparing, they're waiting. Then, when they were preparing and waiting, one old man happened to pass by and asking if they can give him some food. He hasn't eaten for some time. They said, no, get away from here, oh you old man. They're saying, we're preparing not for men, we're preparing for Allah. So the old man went away. So whole day they were waiting for Allah to come. Allah did not come. So when the evening time enters, they say, Ya Musa, what is happening? They said other things, but I'm not going to use that. It's not too nice. So Musa alayhi salam then went to the mountain of Tur. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, Ya Musa, tell them I was there. But they rejected me, they kicked me out. You know that old man who came asking for some hospitality? He was representing me. But your hearts are blind. If you cannot be hospitable to people, to man, how are you going to be able to welcome me? So, the guest in Islam, it is very important. And it depends on the area that you're living in. It depends on the country and the time that you're living in. And of course, in the old days, everybody has adab. The guest has adab, the host has adab, the nation has adab, because the nation is following Islam. Now, the nations are not following Islam. Adab, it is completely lost. So you cannot really put everything together the same way too, like they say in Turkish. Even if the guest comes and he makes a dirtiness on top of your head, you just smile, isn't it? You just continue to serve him. At least for 3 days. 3 days you are a guest. But in these days, not only the host doesn't know how to be a host, the guest don't know how to behave like a guest. In Islamic manners, it is not even advised, encouraged, for us to go visit rich people's houses. You know that? Because it puts jealousy into your heart. And even these days in some Arab countries, they have a tradition, if you go to their house, and also in some Turkish places, if they visit your house, and if they say, this is a nice thing, the guest is saying, this is a nice flower, the host has to offer it. The host says, I'm offering this to you. Would you like that? And the guest says, no, 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 I'm not. The guest and the host knows the guest is not going to come into a house too and to sit down and start looking everywhere. Oh, start looking. These days, the guests, they do that. They look everywhere. What is this? What is this? And more than that, they're asking for money, for price too. This one, how much you pay for that? This nice place. What is the rent for this? It's very gypsy kind of behavior, which unfortunately people have this kind of characteristic. It's very bad. You don't look around. There's an adab. You sit. You don't ask for anything. And the host, he serves everything. It is not American style. Make yourself at home. What does that mean? That means I don't care for you. I'm not going to serve you. Make yourself at home. Sit. Be comfortable. What do you want to drink? They ask. In real Islamic tradition, you don't even ask. It is very bad manners to ask. And if the guest is saying, I want this or this, it's bad manners too. One time they did that to Shaykh Maulana. He visited a house. One lady said, well, welcome Maulana, I love you. What do you want to drink? Shaykh Maulana is saying, I don't want anything. Oh, okay. Well, I feel like some coffee, so I'm going to make myself some coffee. So she makes some coffee. She's sitting down and she's listening to Sohbat from Sultan al-Awliya and drinking coffee right in front of his face. You understand? Now, this is when Islam, it is a lifestyle, it is manners. I don't care how much you know Quran or Hadith or this or that. If you don't have it in your lives, and you don't say, I hear and I obey and I ask for forgiveness, then no way that one is going to be a good believer. You're not knowing so many things now. So, there are so many protocols. But these things we cannot talk in 5 minutes too. You have to come to the dargah, then you have to know. Then the dargah, the adab, now you're going to know. Adab is not just knowing what to do. Adab is knowing when to do it. Who gave you permission to do it? Who gave you permission to speak, to teach, to say? So these are levels of protocol that we have to understand and we have to learn. Well, if it's a protocol for overnight guests, you're asking me, we live in a dargah. Somebody who wants to come and he wants to stay overnight in the dargah. It is according to Chef and his wish, then it is open. Maybe some people, some troublemaker kind, Chef, and he says, you may come, but you may not spend overnight here. You can come during the day. It's okay. We follow. But if somebody comes into your house in the old days, because in the old days people are very intelligent, because they spend a lot of time watching and thinking, not entering into delusion world, not just going up and down and being in ghaflat, they're watching. In the old days, Chef, and he's saying, if they have a guest coming, first they give them soup. And when they're eating the soup, they can judge how the guest is eating the soup, whether the guest is hungry or not, starving or not. Because the guest is not going to say, I need something. No. First thing you're going to give. You come to a Muslim house, the one is running to give you some water, give you something, and they apologize too. They say, I'm sorry, this is all I have. Or they say, they're very hospitable. In the old days, they dragged people from the streets to come to their houses. This is how you build community. How are you going to build community? You don't even have an Islamic village. You cannot build that now. So you don't ask, you give. If the guest is staying overnight, I mean, if you are, it depends. You're a woman or you're a man. Is a guest woman or man? I don't know all these things. I'm not now going to bother Chef Andy to let me know all these things. So this depends now. If you are the owner of the house, if you are the husband is the owner of the house, the master of the house, it is up to him to decide or not. And so many of this adab, like I said before, we need to be in a condition to understand it, in the right frame of mind to understand it, because a lot of things are very flexible also, but you have to know when and how. Otherwise, people are just going to interfere into each other's lives. Then they're just going to interfere to say, this is adab, this is not adab, this is Islamic, this is not Islamic. No, we're all here to learn. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.